So, this is probably the weirdest podcast situation because you've flown over from Dublin to London, and then we find ourselves in Fortnum Mason.
Yep.
One of the most famous department stores in the world, arguably, and surrounded by other garden and plant influencers. And even you've been sat next to Julia Bradbury.
I have.
For the morning. So, a very weird day all round. And now here we are doing the podcast. In this environment.
This is very cool.
It's been quite a cool day, hasn't it?
It's been a very cool day.
But now this podcast is all about you. So we won't get carried away. What we're going to do is I've just filmed a little section actually with the Glass House, who we're here with today. So next week, the listeners, if you're curious about what we've been doing today, we'll be able to hear more from the team there. But today, it's all about you. So
we're not going to spoil it.
I don't know where to start, actually. So, firstly, for people who don't know you, I mean, who doesn't know you, but tell us a little bit about you, where you are, and how did you get into gardening?
So, I'm Niall. I always find these bits really weird.
And it's very formal.
Yeah, it's like, hello, nice to meet you. Okay, so, my name's Niall, and I've got a YouTube channel, social media following, I suppose.
And you definitely do.
Okay.
You definitely do.
So, my main thing is YouTube. That's where all of this started, was with my YouTube channel.
Is that where you started on YouTube?
Yeah, Niall Gardens.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't always called Niall Gardens either.
What was it called before?
The first episode was called Garden Awesome.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? And I was like,
this is that back.
I know. I was like, this is incredible. Okay. And made the whole thing Garden Awesome, launched the first episode, and then realized that there was another country that had a gardening channel called Garden Awesome with 350,000 subscribers. And I was like, there's a flaw in my marketing here.
That's quite a competition, isn't it?
Yeah. So I named it after me.
I think that's the best strategy to name it after you.
To be fair, I think it is.
Because you're going to become famous for you.
Yeah.
And own your own name. That's what I always say to people when, we're talking about Instagram or whatever. Own your own name if you can. Because no one else can have that.
And it's scary to do. It's really scary to do. You really feel like you're putting yourself out there when you put your own name.
You put your name to it, so it better be good. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I didn't put my full name. People think my surname's Gardens, but I'm afraid it's not. The number of people that are like, isn't that an amazing coincidence?
It's like a weather girl who always has some kind of weather names. You had to be going to gardening. So that's where you started then on YouTube.
Yeah, started on YouTube.
How did it grow? How quickly did it grow? Was it a long game thing?
Definitely a long game. And I think with YouTube, if you want to get into YouTube, set yourself up for the long game. I would say it took me about just over a year to get monetized. So that's 1,000 followers, 1,000 subscribers, and 4,000 hours of watch time, which is 240,000 minutes a year. So you need some serious...
That's a lot of content.
It's a lot of content. But then once it gets going, it sort of snowballs a little bit.
Yeah. So before all of that, obviously you were into gardening. You must have been into gardening before that. And that had inspired you enough to then create your channel.
Yeah.
So when did you get into gardening and how and...
So I've had this, it's this weird journey where I keep coming back to gardening. I know that sounds really cliche, but it's true. So when I was growing up, my family were all about gardening. My mum was really knowledgeable. My grandparents were into gardening. We would go to National Trust properties on Sunday afternoons. It was just gardening was all around. Gardener's World was on the TV. So that was there when I was growing up. So I was learning by osmosis. But what I really wanted to do was fly commercially. I wanted to be a pilot.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show my age now. 9/11 happened at a time where I would have been looking to start training to fly, and school said that's just not going to happen, pick something else. I was like, I'm really into gardening, so that's what I did. I went and started a degree in horticulture.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Now I didn't finish it, so I did my first year and decided to leave, and then ended up training to be a pilot.
You did it anyway.
Yeah. So that was my day job, and I was still gardening in my free time, and then COVID happened. So everything seems to be marked by big major things. COVID happened, and that meant that my job got very quiet for a couple of years, and I had the time. I was into cameras. I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a gardening YouTube channel. Nobody's ever thought about this. This is going to be amazing. And did absolutely no research on it. I just decided that I could make Gardener's World on YouTube, made an episode, published it, and then realised that everybody has a gardening YouTube channel. And that's kind of the part of the history of Niall Gardens.
And so now you're obviously doing that. You're doing your YouTube channel and your Instagram and everything else, but you are still a pilot.
Yeah.
And
so I work full time.
Which I don't know if the other people. I mean, it blew my mind when I knew that, because it's a lot, isn't it? And you're flying all over the world all the time, and then gardening in between.
Yeah.
Which I think is, and filming all of that content and uploading it. So it's a lot.
Yeah, it keeps me busy. Yeah. It keeps me really busy. But I love that. I love being busy. And I think the big thing is when I created the channel at the start, the idea was that it was going to be something fun for me to do. I'd always kind of dreamed of having a YouTube channel, actually, because I love YouTube, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's a really fantastic thing for niche content that people will love. And I was like, I'm going to give this a go. But what it's turned into is something that means so much to me that I'm not willing to give it up now.
Yeah.
So now it's a case of balancing. You know, I've got the day job. Day job comes first, but this is a very close second. It's always happening. I'm always thinking about it.
Well, you mentioned earlier that me and Adam were talking about you, and that is one thing that is obvious from the outside, is that you're really passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
Not just gardening, but creating the content. You know, you're really into the quality of your content is insane. I can only aspire to your quality of content. You are 100% who I'm looking at in terms of I want my content to be that good. But you're really into it, aren't you, all of that?
I'm feeling really embarrassed, but because I don't think my content's really good enough. Yeah, so I have always loved cameras and gear and stuff like that. And I also really love really nice content. Do you know when you see something, whether it's a reel or a TikTok or YouTube or even a TV advert, do you know when you see something and you're just like, yeah, that is perfect. I love that. That's what I'm always trying to make, because I think it kind of stands out and people love watching it.
Have you got any kind of media background?
No, no.
That is an untapped talent there, because you do have the eye for it. And like you say, it's not even that. It's you see something and you think, wow, that piece of media has moved me in some way, made me feel some type of way. I want to recreate it. I want to recreate that feeling with someone else.
Yeah.
That's the powerful thing, I think, when you are creating content, isn't it, to think of?
And I think a lot of it is by finding inspiration. So not just looking at other social media content. Actually, if you see an advert, there might be the way the text is done or something, and I'll be like, I love that. And I will be geeky enough to get the phone out and record like a clip of it. Yeah, I once told someone else the truth that I once wanted to make a sequence exactly like something I saw on TV. So I recorded it in slow-mo.
And that's a good trick.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because quite often really good editing happens really fast.
Yeah.
Recorded it in slow-mo and then watched frame by frame and counted the number so that I could work out how to replicate it.
Yeah, that is a fantastic... If you're ever looking at someone's reels on Instagram and you want to know how they've done it, just record it and then slow it down on one of your apps or on your camera roll thing. And you can see the transitions in frame by frame. You'll see the moment something changed, so they click it. You know, that is the way. If you want to be sneaky, you'll soon kind of learn how it's done, won't you?
Yeah.
So it's all super quick. Actually, slow it down and you'll see
that actually is quite easy.
Yeah.
You know, it's building blocks.
Yeah.
It's just building blocks.
Exactly. But it's funny that you say that you don't think your content is that. I think we all look at each other's content going, I wish I had that. I wish I had that. Everyone has something a bit different. Everyone has their own style and which I think is also part of it, isn't it?
It is.
Different people like different things.
Yeah. Otherwise, we wouldn't follow different people, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because everything would be the same.
Well, yeah, exactly. But your content is amazing and very well filmed. what bit of it do you enjoy the most? Like what makes you really want to do it?
The thing that I love the most is making my garden look incredible. I love, yeah, exactly. I love, and I suppose it comes from me loving photography, is I love being able to make something, set something that just looks really nice. And I'm not talking about, like, funny I was going to say, I'm not talking about smoke and mirrors. There's plenty of smoke and mirrors. The number of times I film and like all of the mess is behind me. But if I can set up a shot that really does that corner of the garden justice, I love that. And then it's a really nice record for me.
Roz is taking in front, so now we're there in the background.
This is amazing. This is a proper live.
Roz is taking down the workshop behind us. You can dismantle around us.
This is like the best live environment ever.
It is. We're in a real live environment after doing this workshop.
Yeah.
Roz is helping because she's got nothing else to do to help pack away. So tell us a bit about your garden, and like you say, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
The bits that you show maybe are, but tell us a bit about it and this kind of space that you've got to work with.
So I've got what I think is my dream garden. I live a bit north of Dublin, so I'm in the Republic of Ireland, and I have a garden that's just under an acre, and we bought it in 2019. And when we arrived, we fell for it, and fell for it pretty hard. I remember sitting with my husband they had a pond, sitting next to the pond going, I think we're going to have to make an offer, aren't we? Just fell for it because the previous owners had transformed it from just a field into a really lovely mature garden that had a pond and apple trees and, really mature shrubs and hedges in different spaces. And it was just fell for it.
And have you transformed it much since then?
Yes, I have transformed it into a bit of a mess in places. I'm going by the thing of 5-year project, maybe 10-year project. A lot of the garden was actually a little bit over mature. Trees were getting too big. There was a lot of hedges that were just in the wrong place. So I've done a lot of destructive gardening.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff has come out, but I've also started putting my stamp on it, which is really nice. I turned a huge area, big 20-metre by 7-metre section into a lovely raised bed vegetable garden, like a Victorian sort of potager style.
Nice.
Got a nice greenhouse, taken down some huge hedges to bring in light, and you can see across the countryside. And every time I'm just inching another little bit towards what I hope it can be. And what's really nice is, I can look back on my first episode on YouTube, which came out when we'd only had the garden maybe 5 months or so.
Yeah.
So it was effectively untouched. So this is documenting everything from the start.
Yeah, you've got a documentary of you transforming the garden.
Yeah.
And you brought everyone else on the journey with you as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. That's exactly what you want. It's people have been on that journey with you, and that's why they follow and subscribe and want to see more.
Yeah, because that's a big thing that I always say, is that what I want is to share my garden with people that watch. It doesn't have to necessarily be a how-to video, but what I always try and achieve is the bits that I love from gardening shows are the bits where it's with the presenter in their garden and you feel like you're just in the garden with them.
Yeah.
I think that's the most powerful inspiration for people, and people love to get invested in that, and that's what I try and create.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you can immerse people in that, and your YouTube is very good at that, you just switch off from everything else and you're just in the garden with you, learning how to do something, we're seeing what is good in the garden at the minute, and we've got phone. It really is going on. You are just immersed in your world when you run your YouTube channel.
I am.
What's it like gardening overseas
with
so
time
far?
difference?
Yes, exactly. What's it like gardening over in Ireland? Is it very different to here, or not so much?
It would certainly be different to this part. So
Yeah.
Southeast England it would be very different. We have a much richer soil. We have a more temperate climate, even more so than here. So winters tend to be milder, summers tend to be cooler. Our climate is moderated by the Atlantic, so it's definitely cool and moist, but the soil is fantastic, particularly where I live. Brilliant soil, really good conditions that will allow a huge number of things to grow. Whereas I feel like there's a lot of parts of the UK now that are actually quite having to niche down on what they're going to grow, because they're now looking at the climate extremes.
Well, yeah, people are now looking for drought-tolerant planting and stuff like that, especially down here in the south of the UK, because that is ever increasingly what's happening.
Yeah, and certainly we do get those extremes, but not to such an extreme. And it just makes for an amazing growing environment.
Yeah. And do you have as much of a community over there in the gardening space? Is it the same?
I think it is. And the funny thing is, I'm not sure how much of it translates to over here in the UK. I think it tends to go the other way.
So you have different shows and stuff like that you promote on your Instagram and stuff like that I've seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't really have those over here, and you don't really necessarily get, I guess, what we do over there. So I suppose it's quite isolated, that you say it's quite different, but
a little bit different, but also some of that difference is really cool as well.
Yeah.
Irish gardens are fantastic as well. They have their own character, just like the gardeners.
Yeah.
But it's a great community, and there's so much happening.
Yeah. And I get, like you say, you can have your own kind of character and the personalities of Irish gardening there. And I think it's quite nice that they have, their own space as well for people to show off and show what you guys do over there, without all of us people coming from over here with our shows and,
big social media accounts. I don't want the competition. I want this to be a monopoly.
Yeah, exactly. You can do those shows. You're not allowed in Chelsea next year.
Oh no. I was already looking forward to it.
You've marked your card.
Yeah, I have a bit.
No, that's brilliant. So what's next in the garden? What next projects have you got on for next year?
Next project, a lot of stuff I'm doing is around the vegetable garden. It's kind of the core of where I'm putting a lot of energy in at the moment. And I've got some really big changes planned for it in how I use it. Because I don't just grow veg. I don't just grow flowers. I love growing everything. And I'm finding that my veg garden is maybe a little bit just vegetable gardening. So I've got a few tricks up my sleeve for next year. It's going to get fairly radically changed, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You heard it here first.
I know.
Changes coming.
I know.
That's exciting. And of course, you'll bring everyone on the journey with you and show everyone.
Yes, exactly. And show you how to do it.
And what have you got anything in particular planned for? What do you want to do with the YouTube? Keep growing it and see where it goes? Have you got big plans for it? How do you go with it? Because like you say, you're doing it on the side of a job.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep growing it, or I guess is...
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I can't imagine not having it now.
Yeah.
So the plan will be keep the content going, but I would really love to bring more people into it. I've only visited, actually in Ireland, I've only visited one other garden where I've actually filmed. I would love to do that more.
To do more of getting about into other people's gardens.
Yeah. And part of it is, for a long time, not having the confidence to be in front of a camera somewhere that isn't my own private garden.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because you're comfortable going on camera in your own garden.
Yeah.
But why not in someone else's garden?
It's that thing of having an audience.
Yeah, I guess. Because when you're in your own garden, you can put it on a tripod. You can say it as many times as you need to get it right, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's having someone else what?
I just filmed something a couple of weeks ago in the biggest park in Dublin. Now, this park is huge. It's about a quarter of the size of the city. And I decided I would film it there on location because it was for a client. And I was so nervous I had to bring two of my friends with me because I thought it would be easier.
Yeah.
And I did it. And midway through filming, this little chap comes up and he's like, "Are you filming the news?"
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
You went, yes, go away.
I was like, "No, I'm sorry." Yeah.
Oh, wow. So just do it more, I think, would be, just keep do it. Just get into other people's garden. The more you do it, the more, it's the same when I do workshops with people on reels or whatever. I mean, the only reason that I've got the confidence now to whack my tripod outside Fortnum Mason's and do a dance is because I've done it. Yeah. And I felt stupid and I felt embarrassed. But I thought, I really want to get this shot, or I really want to tell this story. And I've just done it. And it felt like a total tour. But then the more I've done it, I just don't even care anymore. People stare at me in all kinds of places because I walk around Sainsbury's filming myself and talking to the camera. And, I've just got so used to it now. I literally don't even notice that other people are even looking at me.
Oh, you're a braver man than me. That's amazing. But
you just got to do it. The more you do it, the more it will just become second nature.
And the more you get positive feedback. When you hear that somebody liked something or you made them feel better because they were having a bad day, or someone just goes, oh, I've been following your channel for ages and I really like it. And it's not about your ego. It's about going, oh, okay, I'm making something of value here.
Yes,
and
exactly.
They obviously like me as I am. And that's what I come back to.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is the more I put myself out there and was more honest or real, or my daft self mostly, people loved it. And, people wanted to see more of it, and people will reply and say, wow, I love that you just did that. And people have messaged me saying, I wish I had your confidence. And I messaged them back, I never used to. I never used to have that confidence, and don't always, still now. But just if you want to do something, just do it and give it a go. And by hopefully doing that and showing other people, that is, inspiring other people to do the same.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's great. It's done me a lot of good, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Just the more you get yourself out there, like, it definitely is a confidence builder in yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And aside from anything, when you're editing, when you've heard yourself say the same word like 7 or 8 times until you got it perfect, you get numb to it really, really quickly.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah, the amount of times I've heard myself over and over again, and I'm sure you're in the same boat, but my other half is always like, oh, God, will you shut up now with that? He hears the same thing that I'm editing a reel over and over again. He's really done with it. By the time it actually goes out, he's like, I'm not even liking it. I've heard it so many times.
Oh, you see, what I get is, if I'm out in the front garden, the window will get tapped and he'll be trying to put me off. Or I'll be filming something and he'll hide behind the hedge and be like, influencer in the wild. anything to bring me back down to earth. Yeah,
exactly. But that's what we love, isn't it? We need bringing back down to earth. We'll get too big-headed.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. I mean, we're starting out in Fortnum Mason, having been invited here and having a lovely day. So we need to not get too big-headed.
As your lovely studio is disassembled.
I know, our studio has been disassembled and people are looking at us going, okay, you're going to leave now.
Yeah.
So I think we should go shopping while we're here.
Oh, yeah.
It would be rude not to have a little look around.
I think so, yeah.
And we'll have to catch up again. You said, you sent me a voice note saying I was invited over, so that's it.
Yeah,
now.
And now that it's on your podcast, I'm gonna have to come and make that happen. So come over in the spring.
Yeah.
Because at the moment I've ripped a lot of stuff apart in the veg garden, so it would not make for a pretty picture.
See, I think we need to persuade you to share some of this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, share what does Adam call it? The kind of not pretty stuff.
Yeah.
We want to see it. I'm gonna tag you in after the podcast and basically demand that you show us your untidy area.
I did that a while ago.
Did you?
Yeah. I did a video where I was like, shock change, I've done this. And people didn't know what to make of it.
What does this mean?
Yes. What I heard, it was surprising.
Brilliant. So yes, I will come over in spring, and we'll do another podcast, and we'll show everyone the garden. And yeah, I think people will love that. Hopefully people let us know if you'd love that, if you want me to go and see Niall's garden.
Yeah, come across to Ireland.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I can show you around.
Okay, bro. Well, shall we go shopping?
Oh, yeah, go on then.
Okay, bro. Great.